You'd think because we're yoga teachers that, we wouldn't have low back problems, but we spend so much time at our computers, ironically, as
We're walking
online
around
teachers.
doing the splits and stuff. Of course, not at all. We're as stiff as everyone else.
No, unfair. Hey, hello, welcome. Today I am here with a favorite on this channel and with my friend Matt from Yin Yoga with Matt, who all of you know. And we are doing our regular seasonal hidden gem yin yoga channels, which we have so much fun doing and you guys love so much. So as usual, we're back with 5 yin yoga channels or yoga channels with some yin classes for you this month. And our criteria are that they need to have good sound, good lighting, and we like them to be heart-centered teachers that have a passion for what they're doing, that are grounded in what they're doing. And I think that's about it, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, exactly. We like to find some channels that might have slipped between the cracks or are just
Mm.
uprising, and we're just trying to highlight them seasonally. So we're back, we're excited, and thanks for doing this with me, Melissa.
Yeah, it's always great to do it with you. And I think, yeah, it seems like the algorithm keeps putting the same channels, the same teachers in front of us all the time. I don't know if you guys find this. And so I like to go hunting and find other channels. And I know Matt always like, wow, I can't believe you found these people.
Yeah, you're good at that.
Yeah, it's part of my it's a strength of mine for sure. So without further ado, here we go. Drum roll.
All right.
All right. The first channel that I found is a woman named Claire Renee. And I did her yin yoga for the liver meridian class, which I love. I tend to have a liver that likes to go out of balance, so I can never get enough liver meridian classes. I loved her description of the meridian channels. They were spot on for me. As she talked about the meridians and the traditional Chinese medicine at the beginning, I thought it was really good. I loved the way she used props with the blocks at the beginning. She did this thing where she did the front of the ankle stretch with the knees on the block. I've seen it before for toe stand, but I don't know why I'd never thought of it for the ankle stretch, but it worked so well for that as well. Yeah, such a great way to do ankle stretch for the front of the ankles. And she discussed the symptoms of liver imbalance throughout the class, which I personally enjoy that a lot. And also, I thought she did a great job of Shavasana at the end. I'm a huge lover of Shavasana. And so I thought she did a great job of Shavasana. She encouraged us to take up space in Shavasana. And also, I liked how she asked us to reflect back and not just, I feel like when I ask my students to reflect back on the class, I kind of do like a global or a full thing, but she asked us to just look back, like, notice the difference even just from the last pose, like just like a micro look back too, which I thought was really effective. And I think it's something that I would like to integrate as a teacher that I learned from her. So I know that's something that we both talk about too, is that we always learn so much from these
Yeah.
teachers when we do the classes.
Mhm.
So it's such a wonderful thing to take away from this. So highly recommend Claire Renee. Definitely go subscribe to her channel. And yeah, that was one of the channels that we found this month.
Awesome. And you're so right about Savasana. I used to like when I started, teaching and even doing yin yoga, I was like, um, is that a position? Like you're doing nothing, lying
Yeah.
down, and it is a position in itself. And it can be quite challenging to lie down there with your own thoughts for that long doing nothing. And after a while, I started to appreciate it. And like I would say, like you, that it's probably one of my favorite
I know.
asanas. The easiest one yet, it can be hard if you don't know how to
Mhm.
do it properly. So I'm sure you teach your students how to do that anyhow.
I
But you're
think,
right.
like to just to pause on Shavasana for a moment.
Yeah.
I think it's an advanced posture, because I like to look back at some of my beginner experiences. I remember going to a studio and this teacher did like a 20-minute Shavasana. And I had gone to the class because I had to write an exam the next day.
Okay.
And so I was going for stress relief. I mean, I was stressed.
Yeah.
And I remember lying there in the Shavasana, which maybe it was only 5 minutes, but it felt like it was going on forever. And all I could think about was needing to get home to study for this exam.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, looking back, it's it's an advanced posture, right? Where we can die to ourselves, where we can die to what's happening next, where we can let go. And so I really appreciate what you're saying about that being a
Yeah.
posture that you really grow to appreciate
Mhm.
more the longer that you practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the letting go part is hard because sometimes you're lying down there and you still find that you exercise some control over your muscles, over your mind, and you're like, okay, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
really let go. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the hard part.
Yeah.
All right. So for our second channel, this is one that you found that, like I said, I don't know why we haven't found that one before. It's
Yeah.
called Yoga Candy. And this class that I did was called Spooky Light Yin Yoga. So it was around the theme of Halloween, which is just around the corner as we are recording this today, October 29th. And Candy, what I like about her is that she's a giggly girl. She makes you feel at home throughout the practice. She's fun to follow and listen to. And that was a class when like she really takes the stress away from like trying too hard to follow a class on YouTube. It feels just like so easy and so smooth, and it's just fun to dive into. So she definitely had that different kind of teaching when, like I said, it was really connecting with like my inner child. I felt like I was a
Mm-hmm.
child all over again.
Right. Yeah.
This is kind of fun. Like I was having a good time practicing with her. And one of the pose that she did was kind of like a half frog on one side when you open your hip, but then
Mm-hmm.
you had a strap around the other leg, which you would pull and it would like stretch the front of your thigh. So I was
Ah,
like it was like a dual kind of
yeah.
asana, and I was like, this feels really amazing, and I
That's
had never
cool.
thought of doing that. So like you were
Yeah.
saying, we discover things as we do those classes and ways to try different asanas. And just by starting this with you, I've learned so much like variations into asanas
Mm-hmm.
that I was actually doing. So that's a new one that I really like the way that it was opening my groin and hip at the same time while pulling and stretching the front of my thigh. It was a great
Mm-hmm.
combination, and it left me feeling amazing on the rebound in between the transition.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah.
that was really great. And Candy has been on YouTube since 2011, and she has like over 700 videos and classes to choose from. And I was kind of like
Amazing.
really surprised that with this amount of videos and the variety of like classes she has, that she slipped between the cracks. So she really deserves to be noticed, and for all the hard work that she's put through for all
Yeah.
those years. And
Generosity.
yeah, and the quality of her instructions are great, and she's just really fun. She's a great fun channel to dive into when you want to do some yoga and not stress too much about it, or you don't want to get too deep into like the spiritual aspect or whatnot. She's great. Like this is a great fun channel to do.
Yeah. So definitely go subscribe to her
Yeah,
channel. Show her
yoga
some love.
candy.
Yeah. I
Awesome.
think like one thing that stands out to me about that when you speak about it is that like I remember when I first started teaching 20 years, more than 20 years ago now,
Yeah.
there was a right way to do things. There was an authentic yoga and
Mhm.
like this style of like, I'm seeing a lot right now on YouTube, like as we're recording this, a lot of like teachers getting dressed up in their Halloween costumes and, like you say, making classes for our inner child. And I
Yeah.
like, I love it. I'm here for it. I think like, let's do it. Let's have fun. And I'm just so glad to see it connecting with our inner child and just being creative and flowing and having fun.
Mhm.
I just think it's so great. It's so much less. It was really stuffy in the old days with the
Yeah.
authentic yoga. Let me tell you, you're
Yeah.
glad you weren't here for that.
No, I totally get it. And it's fun to see the variety and people, just like I said,
Yes.
taking the stress away from it, making it
Yes.
accessible to people. Like there's people diving on our channels. They've never done yoga before. And when you start being overly complicated, they
And
might lose you,
serious.
and serious. They might lose you when all
Yeah.
they want to do is enjoy a good practice or a fun practice with
Yeah.
you. And, I think, yeah, it's definitely fun to bring that up front when we do our classes.
Yeah. Like, and one of the best ways to release stress is to laugh. So I think
Yeah.
I just amazing. Thank you, Candy.
Yeah.
Okay. A number 3 choice is Zen Yin Yoga with Michelle. And she's been somebody that I've been following for a little while. And I've done a few of her classes and listened to some of her videos. What I like about her is she's quite personal. She shares her own experience. And this class that I did with her is a yin yoga for menopause. So for people who are my age, I can't believe I'm turning 49 in a few months. Like, can you believe it? I'm so close to 50. Just like I'm having a hard time with this.
It's half a lifetime if you look at it. If you live till
Right?
100, it's only half.
Right. Midlife.
Yeah.
Okay. So midlife crisis, right? So October was menopause month, also breast cancer awareness month. I didn't realize it was both these things, but so October, the day that this class came out, October 18th, was World Menopause Day. So Michelle started the video with, like I say, she'll spend a lot of time sharing her personal story, which I think is helpful, especially with something like menopause, which a lot of time, I think not so much now, but it used to be that there wasn't a lot shared about that. So it's good. She shared about her journey with menopause and some of the things that helped her experience with menopause, including hormone replacement and diet. And I think a lot of times, especially in the yoga world or more natural world, so to speak, we don't we tend not to share those things. So that was great. So that was like a 10-minute introduction, just speaking about our own experience, which is great.
Oh,
And then it was a 35-minute Yin Yoga practice. The intention behind the class was to really release cortisol, to calm the body, to bring the body into balance, to relieve hot flashes. It was meant to really soothe the mind, the body, and the hormones. There was a lot of pranayama through this class, a lot of breath practice, including Satali, which is no surprise, the cooling breath, and also a Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. The poses were very calming, cooling, and soothing for the body. We did dragonfly pose, wide-legged child's pose, supported bridge, and waterfall, in addition to the pranayama throughout. So as I say, there's a lot of focus on pranayama through this class. So yeah, I highly recommend that you check out Michelle, especially if you're more my age, older, because I don't know about you guys, but I find oftentimes people creating content on YouTube are more Matt's age, younger. And so it's nice to have the representation of people more my age, especially if you are my age, because it's more relatable, right? So if you're more my age, there you go. There's somebody more our age that you'll be able to relate to. So I highly recommend Michelle.
awesome. Good. All right. So number 4, yoga with Elani. That's another good channel you found. And the class I did was a Yin Yoga class for low back care. Since I was in the military, I injured my low back. So definitely those low back classes are always very beneficial to relieve my ongoing chronic pain. So I really enjoyed that class. And Elani's channel features different style of yoga. She has gentle yoga, hatha, vinyasa, yin yoga, chair yoga, and meditation practices. So there's a lot on there for everybody. And this class had a voiceover, which was great throughout the whole sequence because Elani has a really soft spoken, gentle
Mm-hmm.
voice, and she's very clear and calming while she instruct the class. So just the way she speaks, she has that really that yoga, it's like smooth and like almost like spa-like meditation
Mm-hmm.
voice. And I was like diving into it and feeling really
I
good
do
about
love a
just
voiceover for that, don't you?
yeah, exactly. It's just it's great for that. I don't do voiceover
Me
because
neither.
I never like I was always present with my microphone, but
Mm-hmm.
it was different to do a class with a voiceover. I've never done one before, and in that sense, it was a great experience. So, um, like I said, with her instructing very clearly the way to do different asanas and how to use the prop if you're using a block like she was using, it's really great for anybody, especially beginners. I would see them really enjoying doing a class with Elani, as she is so clear spoken throughout the whole sequence. And yeah, at the end of the class, I felt really good. I had no more tension in my low back, which was the goal with this class. So that was accomplished very well. And the way she sequenced it was perfect. So thank you so much for that, Elani. Really love your channel. It's a great channel. And I'm happy we found you.
Mm-hmm. Do love low back classes too.
Yeah.
Never get enough of them.
Spend too much seated editing the
Yeah,
videos
that's
and
it.
stuff. We're always
It
in their chair.
I know. I mean, you'd think because we're yoga teachers that, we wouldn't have low back problems, but we spend so much time at our computers, ironically, as
We're walking
online
around
teachers.
doing the splits and stuff. Of course, not at all. We're as stiff as everyone else.
No, unfair.
All right.
Okay, my final class choice, channel choice was Flow with Shreya. And oh my gosh, I just loved her so much. She just had such great Earth Mama energy. I think it's because she's pregnant right now as she's filming. And so that just made it so special to practice with her. This was a 15-minute class. I did Yin Yoga for fall. I love a seasonal class. So I'm always going to gravitate to a seasonal class. So she started this 15-minute class reminding us that seasonal shifts are a great time to practice yoga to balance the energies within you and to connect with the changing energies surrounding you. I love the part where she encouraged us to let go of judgment and comparison. That was a great cue. It was a really nice sequence of postures from child's pose to reclined goddess to dragonfly, cow's face with eagle's arms, frog. They had frog in there, Matt, and
Yeah.
Shavasana. And there were options for pregnancy, as I said, as Shreya was pregnant. So I just, it was, that made it really special, I think, because it's a moment in time that is so short. And I think also I was commenting on this today with my students that it's something that I'm really finding a real tenderness for right now and appreciation for is that it's actually very special to record our classes and to be able to go back and you'll remember when you look back what was happening in your life at that time.
Yeah.
And also like when I look back at my classes from 12 years ago or 10 years ago, sometimes I forget things that I taught. And if I go back and practice the class, I'll think, oh, wow, yeah, now I remember that. But more so, it's like, it just jogs my memory as to what was happening when I was filming at that time. And
Yeah.
they're really precious timestamps of our lives. And so to have that timestamp of like being pregnant and filming, that's really precious. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny that you're saying that because yesterday I had a comment on my channel. It was in regards to a pregnancy class I did when Jody was pregnant, right? And the
yes.
woman was like, "Oh, it's so great to be able to dive into a class where you don't have to figure out modifications and
Yeah.
stuff." Because while she was pregnant, all I would do was pregnant classes, and everything I would do was geared towards pregnant woman at that time because it was really just for Jody. But then we shared it with the world. And like you said, it brought me back to like, yeah, it's true. We're doing like yin yoga when she was
Yeah.
pregnant. And it was that whole experience of like the baby growing and me having to figure out like asanas that work for pregnant women. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's true. What you're saying is definitely true because I went back and looked at the class because which class is that again? And I was like, oh yeah. And then it just brings back the memories of that specific time stamp in our lives, you know?
Yeah. Of like
So,
what, like you can probably hardly remember what life was like without Mila Rose now.
yeah,
And
exactly.
then just to remember, oh my gosh, what it was like to film without a
Yeah.
baby in your life.
Yeah,
Just a totally different time. And it's just,
definitely.
it's such a gift to have those. I'm just having a moment today for that, for sure. What's
That's
going on
awesome.
with your channel right now? Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
give us
I
an
got
update.
an update. Just regularly filming classes. I'm enjoying the fall, so I'm trying to go outdoors a bit more. I really like the fact that it's a little cooler. So once you do the class, I really like that feeling of cooling off and just the fresh air. There's something about the fall energy, the fall atmosphere that feels really great.
Mm-hmm.
You layer up a little bit and you do a class outside, and yeah, it feels good compared to doing it in the summer when it can get
Mm-hmm.
overly hot sometimes. So yeah, it's a great transition period. My channel, I just keep doing classes and offering them for people. Like I was telling you, I'm thinking about doing a website soon and trying to expand into that world and not just having the YouTube channel going on, but I mean, that's an ongoing project that I'll dive into probably in 2022. But other than that, yeah, just having a fun with it and doing classes regularly. Kind of slowed down a little bit towards the end of the summer. I was more busy with the baby and stuff. And yeah, you get those periods when you like pump a lot of videos and other
Yeah.
periods when you like do a little less. So I was
Mhm.
kind of in that period when I was doing a little less, but picking back up now.
I love in the autumn too, like in the season, how
Mhm.
like in the summer, in the spring, the light is so high in the sky and it's
Yeah.
so bright.
Mhm.
And at this time of year, the light's lower in the sky and it's more golden, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
such a beautiful light. And it reflects off the leaves and the trees too. So
Mhm.
the light's just so much for filming too, even, you know, but
Yeah,
I
for sure.
appreciate it just with my eyes too. But it's just so much more beautiful at this time of
Yeah,
year. It's softer
yeah,
and it's just more yin, you know.
yeah.
So I love that about it. So
And you're
yeah,
right. I find myself doing classes outdoors when I usually close my eyes when I do yin yoga and really dive internally. But now I keep my eyes open and I'm looking
yeah,
around, looking at the colors. I'm feeling the fresh air on my skin,
mhm.
and like I get this more outward experience when like I'm like more external than internal throughout my yin practices in the fall when I do them outdoors. That is so.
Yeah. I think because the energy is more yin, it's easier to
Yeah.
open to it. Yeah.